Good evening. I'm Laura Helmer, President of the League of Women Voters of Minnesota. Please, everyone, take your seats, and it looks like in true League fashion, everyone has already taken their seats. And turn your attention to the stage as we kick off our dinner and our program together tonight. And I promise you'll still have plenty of time for dinner conversation at your table. As we start, we have Christina Woods with us this evening. She is the League of Women Voters Duluth president, and she would like to start us off with a Native American welcome. Christina?
Buju Gakina Awia Anamikikwe Indigenaka Makwa Indodam Onamani Zaga Iganig Minawa Masabikang. I'm also known as Christina Woods. In my native nation, I'm known as Anamikikwe. I'm here today to do a land acknowledgement. And the most important piece of this land acknowledgement is for each and every one of us to be thinking about the indigenous people who have occupied this land long before any colonization entered our shores. For centuries and generations, there have been a long line of Lakota and Anishinaabe that used and lived and honored this land as entrepreneurs, as residents, and had a deep, loving relationship. I ask that each and every one of you tonight think about that. And as you leave here, spend time here, please think about your relationship with the land and how you impact where we are tonight. Miigwech.
As you begin eating your salads, I just want to take a few moments to recognize the importance of this evening and to recognize some special people among us here tonight, and to share some thoughts with you before you get going in your dinner conversation. A 100th birthday gala does not happen without the support of our very special sponsors, who are listed in your program tonight. All donors of $200 or more will continue to be recognized on our Centennial Honor Roll on our website throughout 2020. And we are so grateful to our sponsors and to our donors for continuing to underwrite our work. When I call out your name, please stand and stay standing, and we'll recognize you all with one big round of applause at the end. I'm going to do this in the League way, in alphabetical order. ADP of Minneapolis. ADP is our longtime payroll provider. If your business is interested in working with them, reach out to Phil Geertsma and say LWV Minnesota referred you for a free year of payroll. Lori Bakke, in honor of LWV Minnesota. William L. Clapp, MD. Susan Clark, in honor of LWV Edina. And again, we'll have one big round of applause at the end. Shelley Colvin, in honor of LWV St. Louis Park. Judy and Jerry Duffy. Laura Helmer and LWV Eastern Carver County. Joan Higginbotham, LWV Anoka, Blaine, Coon Rapids area. And again, please stand as I call your name. LWV Park Rapids area. LWV Richfield. LWV St. Paul. LWV White Bear Lake area. LWV Winona. LWV Woodbury Cottage Grove area. Jennifer L. Martin. Roberta Meagard and Sally Patterson. Martha Mix, in honor of LWV Golden Valley. Minnesota Women's Press, Jerry and Darby Nelson. Karen Schaefer, in honor of the Council of Metropolitan Area Leagues. Schaefer Helene, LLC, a law firm that advocates for women and all employee rights in the workplace. James Shenz and Miriam Simmons, in honor of LWV Minnesota. Twin Cities Headshots, Eric and Michelle Whitty, and the Women's Club of Minneapolis. Please join me in saying thank you to our sponsors for tonight. Our gala and all the great work of the State League would not be possible without our amazing team of staff and board members. I'd like to recognize them. Please stand and stay standing, my fellow board members, and we will gladly recognize you with one round of applause at the end. I'm pleased to serve as president of LWV Minnesota from LWV Eastern Carver County. And serving with me are Susan Clark, LWV Edina, First Vice President and Finance Chair, Adrian Falcone, LWV Northfield Cannon Falls, Second Vice President, Peg Dubord, LWV South Tonka, Treasurer, Miriam Simmons, LWV White Bear Lake Area, Secretary, Vivian Latimer Tannehill, LWV Woodbury Cottage Grove Area, Advocacy Chair, Sue Naschenko, LWV Minneapolis, Membership Chair, Gay Clapp, LWV Minneapolis, Director, Lori Bakke, LWV White Bear Lake Area, Development Chair, Shelley Colvin, LWV St. Louis Park, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Chair, and Georgette Knoll, LWV Anoka Blaine Coon Rapids, Nominations Committee Chair. Please join me in thanking our State Board of Directors for their outstanding volunteer service. Our board is especially fortunate to have an absolutely first-rate staff team to lead and support our work. Staff, please stand and stay standing until we can honor you with our applause. Grace Riley, Operations Manager, who juggles many league logistics, including those associated with this gala tonight. Kristen Smith, Communications Manager, who does a truly amazing job of communicating the complexity of the league with beauty and professionalism. Bridget Jordan, Accounting Manager, who leads our finances with great skill, and I might add, helped us recently receive top accolades on our audit. Nick Harper, Civic Engagement Director, whose legal and policy skills help League lead the way in defending our democracy. Michelle Whitty, Executive Director, whose vision for our centennial celebration and for our second century to come gives us confidence in our journey ahead. And a particular hero for tonight, Sienna Iwasaki Milbauer, Development Coordinator, who has so beautifully managed the many, many tasks associated with this evening. Please join me in thanking our fabulous staff. And now, thank you to all for being with us tonight on the first night of our second century. How wonderful it is to gather, as the League did 100 years ago, to organize and give birth to the League of Women Voters Minnesota. In your programs tonight, you will find a copy of the original program used at that gathering on October 28th, 29th of 1919. It looks like this. We were absolutely thrilled that the Minnesota Historical Society still had the original program among their archives. Notice the ambitious program our early leaders put in place to hit the ground running once women were finally given the right to vote. It's so inspiring to see the early importance placed on educating people about citizenship and the important issues facing democracy at the time. What's perhaps most inspiring is to see that one of their keynote speakers was the founder of the League of Women Voters nationally, Carrie Chapman Catt. Ms. Catt herself presided over several sessions addressing three big questions. What is the League of Women Voters and why? Where are we now? And our nation, what can we do for it? These three questions still hold significance for us tonight as we embark on our next 100 years of empowering voters and defending democracy. What is the League of Women Voters? Our first major centennial activity was to create the traveling exhibit that you've all had a chance to see here tonight, A Century of Civic Engagement, the League of Women Voters Minnesota. The 3 copies of this exhibit have literally been moving from corner to corner across our state and will make more than 40 stops within communities throughout early 2021 to share the story of women's suffrage and the League of Women Voters Minnesota. We are thrilled to be able to share our story with thousands of Minnesotans. We've included a snapshot of women's suffrage and our LWV history in your programs tonight. And we'll be getting another great opportunity to share our history through the exhibit being planned at the Minnesota History Center to open in September 2020. But the other part of that question is really at the heart of tonight. Why the League of Women Voters? Organizations that live to be 100 years old only do so because their purpose remains relevant. And the best way to illustrate the ongoing need for the League is through sharing the stories of the women who are with us tonight to speak. Because each of these women, only within the last quarter of our century, and many only within the last 2 years, have become the first woman to have a voice at the tables where decisions are made. Our founding president, Clara Euland, emphasized, the hardest lesson is that it is not safe to leave government in the hands of one man or a group of men, and that one class cannot judge wisely or decide fairly for the whole. Indeed, women's voices are still underrepresented today in all sectors of governance. So tonight's speakers will provide us with the reality that not only is our work still relevant, it is essential in order to ensure that we the people means all the people. Their presence also provides us with true hope for our second century because, as you'll hear, we are indeed making great progress toward a more fully inclusive democracy. Our Y League is also present in the 260 other stories that could be told through all of you here tonight. League members and allies, people who've taken the time to be active participants in our democracy, to register and empower voters, including registering thousands of newly naturalized citizens and high school students, to update and conduct new studies, and to educate our communities on the important issues affecting families and our democracy, to mobilize and advocate for timely issues within our local and state legislatures, and to serve as elected officials within our great and growing democracy. To all of you, we say thank you. And I bet we could tell the story quickly. Please stand and stay standing if you represent one of these categories. How many of you here tonight are lifetime members of the League? How many are former or current state league presidents or state board members? Everybody stay standing. How many are past or current elected government or party officials? Keep standing if you've stood. We're going to have the whole room standing soon. How many of you provide critical resources to LWV Minnesota as Legacy Circle members or a grant funder? All right, here's a big one. How many of you are members of the League of Women Voters? And now, I really hope this has everyone standing. How many of you have ever voted in an election? This is our real story tonight. The League is here for all of us, so our voices remain heard and relevant as decisions are being made and votes are being taken. Thank you all again for being part of our League Second Century. Before you start getting into your dinner conversations, we do have one more fun event to get our birthday party started. And what's a party without some party games, right? So I'd like to introduce Sarah Jean Knox, or Sarah the Auctioneer. Sarah specializes in benefit and fundraising auctions, and she's going to kick off somebody's dinner with a very special prize. So please join me in welcoming Sarah Knox.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I am Sarah Knox, and I am here to kick off this celebration with something that you need for a celebration, and that would be champagne. Yeah. Yay, would be the correct response to that. So what we're going to do is we're going to auction it off for one of your tables to win. And what I want you to do is pick a bidder for your table if you want to go in on this, or maybe one of you can just be bossy and say, I'm going to buy this. And we are going to auction off. It is a magnum of champagne, so it's going to be for your entire table so that you can celebrate throughout the evening, and we'll bring it to you as soon as you win. So if you have your bidder numbers, I'm going to have you hold them in the air real quick just so I know you know where they are and you know how, oh, you know how to use it, 317. Way to go. You got this. Okay, so we are going to start this off. I like to start my auction items nice and low so everyone can play starting off, and then we'll go nice and high. So for the champagne for your table, we're going to start off. Can I start it at $25? Do I have $25? I have 25 and 50 and 75 and 100. I have 100 over here and 150. I have 150. I have 100 over here. We have 150 over here and $200. 200. You have a 2. How about 250? Yes, at 250 and 300. You're in at 3 and 350. 350 would have been 350. We have 300 right over here looking for 350. 350. I have 350 and $400. 400 would have been $400, but it would have been 400. You have it at 4. Now 450. 450 would have been 450. 450 would have been 450. You have 450 and $500. $500. They have it at 450. Now 500. 500. 500. The rest of your meal is going to be so boring without this champagne. For $500, you can have a bubbly blast, and it's all yours. So I have 450. Look at $500. 500 would have 500. Better with 5. You have $450. We have $450 right here. I have it going once. We have $450 going twice. Now, for this table who was bidding, I just want to let you know that I only count to 3. Are you? Over here, 500, welcome back, 500 and 550. 550 would have 550, 550 would have been 550, 550 would have been 550, 550, 550. They have it at $500. How about you, 550? I have $500 over here. I have 500, you have 550 and 600. 600 would have been 600, but it would 6. 600, but it would 6 me, 600, but it would 6. 600, but it would 6. 600, 600. I have 550 looking for $600. 600. Just talk to your table, just say yes. That's all you need to do. Why don't you vote on it? Majority rule. That's how this works, right? It really is how many times you raise your hand is what you get for this. But I have 550 looking for $600. They have $550 going once. We have $550 going twice. And 3 times. It is sold for $550. Let's see that bid number real quick. Let's see the bid number. 318, 318. But you know what over here? They did let me know I have a second bottle of champagne for this table back here if you want in, also at $550. Back table, I'm still talking to you. Would you also like champagne for $550? Just say yes. Does anyone else want champagne for $550? We have it for $550. I could come down to $500 for you. This table right here. I'd have to come down to $500 for them too, but I would do it for you. $500, and you get it in on the game. It is worth. They're like, as you're pouring it right now, right? Well, we have our champagne winners for this table right over here. Table 26 has the champagne. I'm going to be right over at this table right here. If you want it, you come ask me, and we will get that for you. And congratulations to our winners. And I want to let you know you can all start eating your meal. I know some of you have eaten your salads, and once you're done with that, we'll bring you your food. Well, I won't bring you the food. I'm not that coordinated, but someone else will bring you the food, and enjoy your company. And I will be up here later with some other auction items for you. But enjoy. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jody Ritaka Carlini, and I am your MC for the evening. And I'm delighted to be here as an active member of the League of Women Voters, Woodbury Cottage Grove. Yay. And then also, I'm a veteran journalist and broadcaster and current president of the Upper Midwest Emmy chapter. I hope you're enjoying your food this evening, and feel free to keep eating as we go along. And remember that cocktails are open at the bar throughout the evening. And I'd like to thank all the people who are serving, and if you could, that are graciously serving this evening, if you could give them a round of applause. Put a little light on this subject over here. What a lovely evening as we celebrate our 100th birthday. It is fantastic. Our program tonight will honor women who are female first in their arenas. Our early suffragists could only dream that today we would have such a wonderful, diverse group of women joining the men in joining the men at the tables of power. I'm pleased to welcome all of these great women and their unique stories here to the stage tonight. And we begin, please join me in honoring Tony Carter, Ramsey County Commissioner, and the first African American to serve on the county board in Minnesota.
Good evening. I saw you earlier, and so I know, although the lights are in my eyes right now, that this is a beautiful group of women and guest men who are here with us to celebrate. And so thank you so much. I have to say I'm glad to be the first to say hello, because I want to welcome you here to the Union Depot in St. Paul. The Union Depot was restored after a two-year, $243 million project in 2012 to again be a multimodal hub for our city, for our county, for our state. And so I am so glad as a Ramsey County Commissioner to welcome you here to this facility restored by Ramsey County. Thanks for joining us here. And to be here to commemorate and to celebrate with you and to move forward with the League of Women Voters. Happy Centennial. It's marvelous to celebrate all of the work of uplifting the vote throughout these past 100 years. Thank you for that work. Once again, I stand here, a woman of color, on a location along the banks of the Mississippi River that was once a trading spot for Dakota Indians. I stand here with you knowing that I don't have to ask today, as some refer to in the colloquial African American language, Sojourner Truth speech. I don't have to ask that question. Ain't I a woman too? Because I know you all know. And I appreciate that you are celebrating here me and other diverse women who are first. You know, the important thing about being the first is not being that, but it's making certain that many others are able to follow. So thank you for that celebration. I want to say that standing here and having referred to Ain't I a Woman Too, which, oh, by the way, was not the way that that speech was delivered. It was actually delivered in a Northern Dutch American accent, but changed, thinking that that would have been more favorably received in the community at that time. Now, there is no other volunteer organization like this organization, and I celebrate and uplift you tonight. I also, as an African American woman, know that we have not always walked parallel paths in the movement for women's suffrage and the movement for African American suffrage. But those paths have come together, and I am so thankful that leading into this century, we know that when any is left behind, all are left at risk. So again, thank you to the League of Women Voters. My story, my becoming in this community a first, is not about me, but it's about all of the work that you have done to make certain that this country, that this freedom, that this liberty, that this justice, that this housing, that this living wage job, that this opportunity for transportation and to live out our lives in peace and justice together belongs to all of us. I'm thankful to be here with you at Union Depot. I'm thankful for the work that we've done to create along the Green Line 3 stops for all of us so that no one would be left behind. I'm thankful for the fact that we've been able to close a juvenile corrections residential facility that was 100 years old this year. And I am thankful for so much work, more work, that we will do together. I want to recognize if there are any others from the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners here tonight. I know that they welcome you here too. If there is any other commissioner in the audience, please stand and be recognized. If not, thank you so much. They said it couldn't be done, but the League of Women Voters have done it. And in the next century, we will continue to do it together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Carter. I'm pleased now to welcome Samantha Vang, Minnesota State Representative and first Hmong American woman elected to the Minnesota House, along with Representative Herr.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony Carter. I don't know how I can follow that. I'm truly honored and delighted to be standing here today celebrating contributions women have made to advance equality and justice for all of us in 100 years of women's suffrage. Leaders that have come before me defied the status quo and persevered in the face of outright discrimination so that we could stand here today and enjoy the fruits of their labor. When I think about the strong women who've come before me, there are many that we are familiar with in the great history of the women's movement, but I want to elevate some of the women of color who were also critical in the making of our suffrage. Sojourner Truth, with her famous speech, Ain't I a Woman, speaking truth of the need for the intersectionality of the abolitionists and women's movement. Ida B. Wells, who founded the first suffrage club for Black women and marched in the 1913 suffrage parade in Washington, D.C., but refused to march at the back of the parade as other Black women did. And Asian suffragists like Dr. Mabel Lee, who mobilized the Chinese community in America to support the women's right to vote. However, when women won the right to vote in 1920, Chinese women did not benefit because of the Chinese Exclusion Act that prevented them from becoming US citizens. Of course, I can't list the strong women who've come before me without mentioning my mother and grandmother. They came from a place where opportunities are scarce and girls couldn't get an education. When my mother arrived here to the US in 1993, because of her children, she stayed behind to take care of us while my father attended high school as a part-time student. It wasn't until I was in middle school that my mom was able to get her GED. Feminism for her was ensuring her children have choices and opportunities when she didn't. Years of her love and sacrifice and teachings allowed me to grow into the woman I am today. These historic achievements won't go unnoticed, and I want to thank the League of Women Voters for leading the fight and empower women's political participation and representation in our democracy. Like the League of Women Voters, my start in politics began with a simple realization that we must be active in our government if we truly want a government by the people and for the people. Very early on, my political debut began in organizing and centering civic engagement in communities historically underrepresented in mainstream politics. Simple acts of civic engagement, such as registering to vote or attending a town hall, may seem like a fairly easy thing to do, but for many communities of colors, it takes education, assistance in both language and direct outreach, and coordination to be an informed and engaged voter. As a result, I established and led a statewide effort called the API Voter Engagement Coalition that mobilized and engaged over 6,600 people to vote. Women achieved the right to vote 100 years ago, yet voter suppression still exists, disproportionately affecting communities of color. In Minnesota, we have a law that limits voter assistance at the polls to 3 people. That means if I were to bring my parents and grandparents with limited English to the polls, I will only be able to assist 3 of them, leaving 1 out. This doesn't just affect communities with limited English proficiency, but also those with disabilities, and even first-time voters unfamiliar with the process. I, along with the League and its allies, will continue to fight for a democracy that ensures that all voices are heard, especially for women of color. I know that I'm not a typical legislator. I'm proud to be the second youngest female elected into the Minnesota legislature. However, my dream for the next 100 years is that there will be more women, that there will no longer be first and second leading the state. I hope to see women leading in business, in STEM careers. My dream is to see all girls around the world get an education, women earn equal pay, women who no longer fear violence from men, and a representative government that doesn't decide what a woman can do to their body. Today, let's celebrate our achievements over the past 100 years, and tomorrow, let's go back to creating our next 100, doing what we do best, making her story. I'm State Representative Samantha Vane. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Vang. Join me in honoring Margaret H. Schutich, Associate Justice, Minnesota Supreme Court, and the first openly gay state Supreme Court Justice.
Well, good evening. I'm delighted to be here as part of the celebration of the League's 100th birthday and the 100th anniversary of women receiving the right to vote. And I am honored to be here with all these incredible women of first. I'm dating myself, but when I read about their accomplishments, the first thing that came to mind was the slogan from the women's tennis tournament way back then, "You've come a long way, baby." And women have come a long way, baby, in many fields, including law. I still remember the thrill that I experienced back in 1992 when I made my first appearance before the Minnesota Supreme Court. The year before, Minnesota became the first state in the country to have a majority of its Supreme Court justices be women. Yeah, it's great. And the symbolic effect of that event was huge. When I appeared in front of that court with its 4 female members, I had confidence that I belonged in that courtroom. I knew that my gender would be no barrier, that I wouldn't be dismissed as a lawyerette. I knew that my argument would be heard, taken seriously, and carefully considered. I now have the pleasure of serving again on the Minnesota Supreme Court that has a majority of women justices. Unlike that 1992 court, today's court is rich in other diverse ways. You'll be hearing from my colleague, Justice McCaig, who is the first woman of Native American descent. Justice Hudson is the second African American woman to serve on the court, and I'm the first member of the LGBTQ plus community to openly sit. I feel blessed and privileged every day to serve the people of Minnesota on this court. But frankly, when I first applied for judicial service, I wondered if my dream of becoming a judge would ever come true. I applied for several different courts, including 6 openings on the Hennepin County District Court, all without success. So one huge lesson I learned from these attempts, besides humility, is perseverance. I encourage lawyers, especially women lawyers, not to give up if they don't get a judgeship the first few tries. I also learned not to take someone else's selection as a personal rejection. Judicial candidates get chosen for many reasons. But looking back on my experience, I remember 2 moments that suggested that my sexual orientation was not viewed as a positive judicial attribute. For example, one of the selection committees asked applicants whether they had any skeletons in their closet. Now, I had been out for many years in my own quiet, matter-of-fact way, and I didn't consider my sexual orientation to be any kind of skeleton. When the panel asked that question, the questioner prefaced it by saying, "We know about your personal relationship, and we don't mean that." And that question implied that my loving relationship with my life partner, who is now my legal spouse, fell into that latter category of undesirable secrets. My sexual orientation felt like a negative strike against me. And during that process, I was surprised and saddened to learn that when I asked a friend who was a successful lawyer to write me a letter of recommendation, she hesitated. She confided in me that she was worried about the impact that writing a letter for a lesbian candidate would have upon her career. I know. You know, these moments, while hurtful, pale in comparison to the overt discrimination that many in the LGBTQ community face. And I'm thankful over my career that I have been judged mostly on my merits and not as a stereotype. When I finally successfully applied to the Minnesota Court of Appeals, the Commission on Judicial Selection actively sought candidates with diverse experiences. They knew that a diverse bench that looks like the community it serves legitimizes the court and gives people confidence that their voices will be heard. They knew that a diverse bench is essential to the goal of equal justice for all. And for me, going through the process, it was a huge relief to know that being a lesbian candidate actually counted as a valued life experience. Thank you. In closing, I'm hopeful that my presence on the highest court in Minnesota will do for the community what the presence of those 4 women justices did for me when I was a new lawyer. I hope that my presence there and my election last fall show aspiring girls and boys, lawyers, and Minnesotans in general that there are no barriers to full participation in our legal community.
Thank you, Justice Chudish. Please welcome to the stage now Jennifer Carnahan, the chair of the Republican Party of Minnesota, first woman and first Asian American to serve as a party chair.
Good evening. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for lifting up and honoring women across Minnesota. It is a true pleasure to be here tonight among such an esteemed group of trailblazers and thought leaders in our state. I want to start by sharing a story with all of you from my childhood. When I was 4 years old, I remember one day running errands with my mom. We had pulled into the parking lot at Norwest Bank in Maple Grove, where I grew up, when we were rear-ended. The woman that was driving the car that rear-ended us came up to the window to check on us to make sure we were okay. I was in the back seat, but I had been thrown to the floor because seatbelts back then were certainly not a thing. When the woman peered in the window and looked at me in the back seat, she then looked at my mother and said through the front window, "Whose little girl is that?" Well, on November 11th, 1976, the day I was born, I was found abandoned on the back doorstep of a rural hospital in South Korea next to a garbage dumpster. My life could have been dramatically different, but fortunately for me, 5 months later, my loving parents, John and Cinder Carnahan, adopted me and brought me to Minnesota. The day that I landed at Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport and came into their loving arms, I became a proud Minnesotan, a proud American, and a proud Carnahan. My parents raised me to believe throughout my childhood and my adolescence, still even to this day in my adulthood, that with hard work and commitment, anything that I set my mind to in life, I could achieve. And it's that principle that I've held with me throughout the way. In high school, I pushed my way on to the newspaper and became the sports editor. And I remember telling my journalism teacher in high school, I want to go become a sports broadcaster. And she looked at me and said, "That's probably never going to happen, Jennifer." Well, I went out and applied to Syracuse University, which has the top broadcast journalism program in the country. They've graduated people like Bob Costas, Mike Tirico, Marv Alberts. I got in, and my first job I landed out of college was writing articles for the Florida Marlins Baseball Club in Miami. Then I decided next that I wanted to go into brand management and marketing, and I wanted to work for a top consumer products company, so I had my eyes set on General Mills here in Minnesota. I met with probably a handful of different recruiters who looked at me and said, "You will never get hired by that company without an MBA from a top 10 business school." I ignored them, sent in an application, and within 5 days, I was brought in for an interview and was running promotions in the Pillsbury division. And then in 2016, I showed up on the political scene in Minneapolis. I went out for my first ever caucus. I'd never been to caucus before because I was frankly just frustrated with the government on both sides, and I wanted to have more of a voice than just voting every November. Well, there were a group of people that when I showed up, they were like, "We have to get this woman to run for state senate." So they recruited me to run for state senate in Senate District 59, which is downtown in North Minneapolis. And as most of you may know, for a Republican, it's just not a winnable seat. And when they were recruiting me, they said, "Jennifer, we just have to be honest with you here. The only chance you have at winning this race is if everyone in this district dies of the plague and you're the only one left to vote for yourself." So I thought, what's the worst that can happen? I go get experience and, there we go. So I ended up running. I worked really, really hard, and no, I didn't win. I only got 22.5% of the vote, so not a great number. But out of any Republican that had ever been on the ballot, so whether it was governor, US senator, anyone in that Senate district, I did nearly 30% higher. And where that led me is to where I stand today. A year after that, on April 29th of 2017, as a surprise to everyone in the Republican Party, I knocked off 3 men and became the first female elected to run the Republican Party of Minnesota. And I don't take any of that for granted. And when I look back and reflect on my upbringing, and I always say this, my parents are the biggest supporters and champions I've ever had in my life. They have always encouraged me. They've always stood behind me. They've always said, go for it when everybody else says no. That you need those people behind you to lift you up and to show you that anything is possible. And so I've always believed that our dreams are as big as we allow them to be. And we should always set dreams that we think are out of reach, because you never know what might happen. As women, we have, and we will continue to smash through glass ceilings. We will blaze new trails, and we will open doors for the generations behind us. All it takes is that encouragement, support, and commitment to get there. So I want to close with this quote that means something special to me from Maya Angelou. She said, "Nothing can dim the light that shines within you." So never forget that, and let that light shine bright and let the world see it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chair Carnahan. It is with great pleasure that I share with you these special greetings from former Vice President Walter Mondale, who helped bring another female first to our country. I'm so pleased, as he wrote, I'm so pleased to wish the League of Women Voters in Minnesota a very happy 100th birthday, and to congratulate the attendees and honorees at the first night gala on this extraordinary progress that we have worked to attain during the last century. In the 100 years since the ratification of the 19th Amendment radically expanded voting rights for women, the United States has progressed leaps and bounds due to the work of hundreds of determined people, including the wonderful community leaders and advocates who make up the membership of the League of Women Voters. I was honored to play a small part in the great wave of change when I nominated the remarkable Geraldo Ferraro as the first woman candidate for Vice President of the United States. But I'm sure I don't have to tell you that there is much more work to be done, and that is why I am so heartened to see that the League of Women Voters Minnesota is as strong and active as ever. Your passionate, thoughtful, and principled nonpartisan advocacy is more vital than it has even been before. And I anticipate that with great excitement, the progress you have achieved in your second century. Once again, I thank you for your admirable work and wish you the very happy birthday, Walter F. Mondale. What a lovely shout out to our first female presidential candidate, Geraldine Ferraro. And we also have greetings tonight from Emily Larson, the first female mayor of Duluth, and also a League of Women Voters member. Hello, League of Women Voters. I'm incredibly saddened that I cannot be here with you in person. Unfortunately, an unavoidable commitment came up. I'm so thrilled and impressed with the work that the League does throughout our community. It is no secret and no coincidence that Duluth has some of the highest voter turnout in the country and some of the most civically engaged residents. It is due to the remarkable work that you do every day to connect people, register new voters, and ensure that we are informed on the issues, and so much more. I cannot say enough good things about what you do, and I cannot thank you enough. Again, my regards for not being able to be there, but just know that I value you and the community values, and your efforts are critical in a time when voter engagement could not be more important. Thank you, and I wish you a happy birthday and all the best, Mayor Emily Larson. So great messages from former Vice President Mondale and Emily Larson. I'm pleased now to welcome Edwina Garcia, Richfield City Council member and first Latina elected to the Minnesota Legislature.
Thank you. Thank you to the Minnesota League of Women Voters and staff. Thank you for the Richfield League of Women Voters, my group. My admiration and gratitude to the League is great because you accepted the mission. You picked up the gauntlet and you said, let's go forward. And you know, I just, by chance, I happened last night to dream about that Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton came to me and they said, would you deliver a message to all the women leaguers that you're gonna see tomorrow night? And I said, I'll be happy to do it. They said, well, we want you to tell them, well done. And we want them to continue and move forward. One day we're going to have a woman president. You know, being the first person elected to the Minnesota legislature, I know that all of us that were first, or all of us, or maybe a lot of us that are here, we didn't make it on our own. We made it with support from others. We made it through mentorships of others, and those folks that believed in us. And I say that, believed in us, because, you know, my childhood was, my mom and dad were divorced when I was 7. My dad was a gambler. He was an alcoholic, and he was a domestic abuser. But I had my mom, and my mom was our rock. And she took care of my brother, my sister, and myself. And then I went to a public school as opposed to the Catholic school where you get rapped on your knuckles with a ruler. Remember those days? Well, anyway, eventually I became the first in my family to get a college degree. Thank you. But I tell you who my mentors were. My mentors were white women and white men. Those were my mentors. And my teachers that inspired me and that saw something in me, they pushed me. And they said, you know, you can do whatever you're gonna do, you can do it. And I believe. So I know this is a lot of women of color here, and I am so proud and pleased, but there's a lot of white women and men here too, and now I'm proud and pleased for you. When I when I first ran for the city council, Don Preby was retiring, and he chose me to run in his ward. And, in 1972, when we came to Richfield, there were hardly any people of color in Richfield. And then when it came down to 85, when I ran, at first I didn't get much support because people in the party said, well, she's a person of color, she probably won't make it, but Don said, no, he said, I've studied her, I like her work ethic, she will do a good job, I know it. And so Gertrude Ulrich, member of the Metropolitan Council, she came up and she said, I agree. So that's all it took. And I ran, I knocked on in my district 2.5 times. My knuckles were peeling, but I knocked because I wanted to do this. And, when you want to do something, you need a campaign manager or two. And I had 2 people I asked to be co-chairs of my campaign. And one of them said, a friend of mine, and I asked him to be co-chair, and he said, no way. And which thought, golly, what the hell did I do? But no, and I said, why not, Jim? And he said, well, the reason is, he said, you've got to have a tough ego, a strong enough ego that you can put it in the middle of the street and have every dog and cat come and piss on it. It's out, and now you know about my ego. But then when I ran for state representative, again my party said, we want you to run, but we know you probably won't win. And the thing is that we've got to keep, the incumbent busy, and we've got to deplete his war chest. I said, wait a minute. I said, you want me to win? You want me to run, but you don't expect me to win? And they said, well, yeah. And I said, no, I'm not anyone's sacrificial lamb. And then I said, I will run hard, and I will win. If you're not going to be with me, let me know, and I won't run. And they all looked around the room, and they said, yeah, we want you to run, and we'll help you win. And they did. I served 4 terms in the Minnesota House. Then I ran for Secretary of State. I didn't make it. But I always had in my mind this idea, success is never ending. Failure is never final. Live by that, and you'll succeed. Well, when I retired, then I was content to just work. I'd worked for the Minneapolis Foundation. I worked for the Chicano Latino, what's it called? Anyway, so, wait a minute. Oh, I've got it on the second page here. Nope, I'm on the second page. So anyway, I served at the Chicano Latino Affairs Council. I worked at the Minneapolis Foundation. I worked as Hennepin County Resource Coordinator for Richfield. Then when the funding position, my position was ended, then I thought, well, okay, well, I'll be content to just volunteer in the community. But then somebody came knocking on my door. And let me tell you, when somebody comes knocking in your door, sometimes you hear this. And sometimes you hear this. no matter what sound you hear, pull the door open. Pull that door open, because that's your opportunity. Seize that opportunity. So they came and drafted me to run for the city council again, and this was in 2012. And I said, well, okay. You know, I didn't have in mind, you know, but then I ran for re-election in 2016. And now when I leave office, it'll be 22 years that I have served as an elected official. And when I say, you know, that I served 22 years, I'll tell you one thing. It takes a lot of folks, and most of this Richfield League of Women Voters people, they're my friends. They believe in me, and they've made it possible through the candidates forum, through education, through information. They made it possible for those of us that have a little bit of sparkle in us to try to make it. Later, I mentored Debbie Gotel, who was a former mayor of Richfield, the first Richfield mayor, and she won. And then I mentored her, and again, I said, what are you doing? You need to climb up. So she ran for Hennepin County Commissioner, and she won. And then lo and behold, and there's been other women and other men, because we mentor people that have promise. And then came Maria Reagan Gonzalez. You know, I called her just a kid. I think I'm the oldest one, and I think I can be the mother of all the people I sit with on the city council. But Maria was extremely green. You know, but she had something in her, you know. And I said, well, it's going to take this, it's going to take that. You know, are you sure you can do it? And I mean, here's somebody that had a full-time job, you know, and I said, you sure you can do all that work, because that's what it's going to take for you to win. And she learned, she studied, she worked. She studied, and you know, now all of that has paid off. All of that, she has had so many awards and accolades that once in a while I get a little jealous, but she's a wonderful, wonderful inspiration. In fact, at one of her fundraisers, she had this little girl, age 8 years old, and she came up and she said, she was doing a little speech to introduce Maria. And she says, you know, at the end of her speech, she said, when I grow up, I'm going to be president. And I said, I really hope I'm alive then when that happens. Because here's a little Mexican girl, and she's going to be she's going to be one of our next presidents. And then the other, yes, but Maria has paved the way for a lot of folks. And she's won so many accolades. Then a couple of months ago, I know you may know our state auditor. You know, she's very serious. She's very quiet, extremely shy. Julie Blaha, she jumps up and she comes to me and she gives me a hug and she said, I ran because of you. And I said, really? And I couldn't remember. And then she said, yeah, when you were a state representative, you had this candidates forum where we came so you could give us tips on how to win, and you were inspirational. She said, and you were funny. And that's why I ran. So I hope she's not as shy as she used to be. But there's a lot of women that followed, took the first step. Karen Clark, Patricia Ray Torres, Mi Mua, Neva Walker, Melissa Franson, Susan Allen, Jamie Baker Finn, Peggy Flanagan, and Isha Gomez. Those are good, solid women. We produce good, solid women. And let's continue to inspire, to nurture, to mentor, and to care about each other. Now, as I leave, I'm going to tell you that we have to continue to pass the torch. Sí se puede. Sí podemos. Con favor en Dios. Con favor en Dios. Yes, we can. Yes, we will, with the good Lord's blessings. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Garcia. Join us as we also welcome from Richfield, Maria Reagan Gonzalez, Mayor of Richfield, and First Latina Mayor in all of Minnesota.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight is about celebrating the power, the inspiration, and the leadership of civically engaged women. It is about recognizing the role that so many of us play in being the first, and sometimes the first and the only women of color at the decision-making table. Tonight is about paying homage and expressing our gratitude to the powerful women who have led before us, like La Jefa Edwina Garcia, who just came before me, making deep sacrifices to change the face of leadership, to improve our communities, and to encourage countless young women to lead in their footsteps. And most importantly, tonight is about celebrating and transforming our collective hope into collective action, because we can never take our progress for granted. Thank you. I have become the leader that I am today because of the powerful women that I have been so fortunate to have surrounding me and nurturing me my entire life. As a small girl, I saw my immigrant mother leave Mexico for warm and balmy Mora, Minnesota, with my father, who are both here tonight, Gary and Belem Regan. I saw her she knew no English, and I saw her learn English as I was growing up. I saw her earn her GED, raise our family, and lead herself as being one of the first people in Wisconsin to provide culturally appropriate services for Latina victims of domestic and sexual abuse. And in spite of so many barriers that she faced, and in spite of so many people telling her that she wasn't ready and she wasn't going to be able to achieve the dreams that she wanted, she did it all. She worked full-time, she raised our family, she went through chemotherapy and radiation, and attended full-time work in school to earn her bachelor's degree at the same time. And at the age of 53, my mother graduated with her bachelor's degree in social work and is cancer-free. We all have similar stories that are the stories that inspire us and catalyze our leadership. It was my parents, it was my mentors, and it was my community who continued to encourage me to grow my leadership. Oftentimes, many times against my own will, and also in ways that were so clever that I didn't even notice that they were doing it. So for example, my Aunt Judy would share stories about her childhood. She was the only woman, the only girl amongst a bunch of brothers growing up in Mora. She told stories about my grandma and my aunt Ethel, and she connected me. That connected the dots for me that I was a part of a long lineage of women leaders in the Regan family who went against the status quo. I took my first job out of college and worked on an organic farm and a nonprofit where former House Representative Karen Clark, who is the longest serving openly lesbian member to serve in state legislature in this country, became my boss. She became my mentor, and she became my lifelong friend. And it was because of Karen that I started to see and learn about public policy and the role that it played in building a more just and inclusive world. Councilmember Edwina Garcia, like I said, I call her La Jefa, and Senadora Patricia Torres Rey, who we are both honoring tonight, took me under their wings when I first decided to run for office. They showed me the ropes, and most importantly, they modeled what it looked like to run for office with integrity, without compromising your values, without compromising your identity, and always putting community first. And as mayor of Richfield, I am proud to be a part of a long lineage of Richfield League of Women voters who have shaped our city into who we are today. It was, yes, thank you. It was the Richfield League who transitioned the village of Richfield to the city of Richfield. They helped set up our city sewer system, they started our planning commission, and they started our human rights commission. And of course, they continue to hold nonpartisan candidates forums, and they've also always played a role of investigating the issues most important to our community and taking positions on those issues, not based on what any political party says or what is easier, but what is best for our community. And not to mention that so many Richfield League of Women voters have served on our city council, and former mayor Debbie Gotel, who was the first woman mayor in Richfield, and myself are both League of Women voters as well. So we have strong representation, and city council member Mary Seppel, who is here tonight, is also a league member. So the league plays a huge role in governing the future of our city. So, if I can just leave you with one thing tonight, it is to remember that the future of our country and our world depends on women stepping into their power and leading to face the most pressing issues in our community and to help us seek our collective future. And I ask every single one of you to think about the role you personally play in leading and in building civic engagement. And I know this group does that all the time, and that's why you're here tonight. And what are you each doing to inspire the leadership of our youth and our young girls? And how can we push ourselves past our comfort, past our privilege, and sometimes past our fears, and help others people do that too, and make sure that we're building the leadership behind us and alongside us, and making sure that people know about the League of Women Voters, because if it wasn't for the League, I don't think any of us would be here tonight. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Mayor Reagan Gonzalez. Please join me in honoring Cully Herb, Minnesota State Representative and first Hmong American woman elected to the Minnesota House, along with Representative Vang.
Good evening, everyone. Gosh, what an honor it is to be here today in this space at this time with all of you. I think about my journey to get to this place, and I never even thought that there would ever be a first for me. So I came to this country as a refugee. I came when I was 4 years old, And I remember the day I became a citizen. So I was 12 years old, I was in 7th grade. And I remembered feeling a little bit giddy that day, but not because I didn't really know why. What I remember was the gentleman who was asking us questions, because we became citizens with my parents. We got the abbreviated version, so he asked us some pretty easy questions like who was the president and a couple of easy questions. And then what made me giggle was when he was having us recite like our oath. He said really long sentences, and we were like 12, 13-year-old kids, and we could not remember what he was saying to us. And so we were giggling, and it wasn't because we didn't take this seriously. And I think a lot about that day because it wasn't until, oh gosh, I would have to say 30-some years later, back in 2015, when I happened to come upon one of the League's women somewhere at an event that I was at. And she said, well, we're going to a naturalization ceremony. Do you want to join us? And I thought, well, I don't know. I mean, I have a full-time job. I'm busy. And then I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to go. And I remembered sitting in this room and hearing the judge say to all of the people that were there that day, what a big responsibility it was to be a citizen, and that the way that they would make their voice heard is to vote. And when they were all done, and I remember thinking how much more emotional that day was for me than the day that I became a citizen. As they played President Obama's speech and him welcoming these new immigrants into our society, I remembered crying and feeling like I didn't understand the weight of what it meant to be a citizen of this country. And I remembered crying and then walking out and then asking people to register to vote. And I thought that that was the greatest honor of my life, is to be able to be a part of someone else's journey. And I really appreciated that experience. And I didn't know those few years ago that I would come back and somebody would ask for me to run for office. I never really thought being an elected official was sort of in my future. But when that happened, I could not have imagined what I would see when I got there. What I noticed being on the Judiciary Committee is that anytime legislation came forward that dealt with a man's rights, that we would maybe have 15-minute conversations and everyone would agree, yes, it makes sense. If a man finds out that a child is not his biological child, we will make sure he is no longer responsible for financially being on the hook for that child. But it did not go unnoticed by me that every single time legislation came forward that talked about a woman's rights, that we would have hour-long conversations. And then sometimes we would have to adjourn and reconvene. It's very laughable, right? And I just thought, what is the difference? What is going on here? And it took the women in that committee to say, can we make sure that we all make sure that that doesn't escape all of us, that we are having a really long conversation around a woman's rights, but we did not do that when we were talking about legislation for men's rights. And it took different voices at the table. And as I listened to President Helmer's comment today about having voices at the table, we could not have had that discussion at that Judiciary Committee had we not had diverse voices at that table. That's right. And when I think about what my wish is for the future, for what the League can do and what it is we can all do together, I think about, let me just look at the time really quick. Oh, okay, I'm running, I got 1 minute left. I'm thinking about the things that we can still do. And this was my first election. I was elected in November, and I remembered being really intentional about knocking college campuses. And I remembered knocking at doors, and a lot of times people don't answer their doors when you're there. Maybe a third of the time is the statistics, right? But once you get into a dorm, they almost always open their doors. And sometimes too freely. I remember knocking, and somebody from inside would just say, come in, and I'd say, actually, I'm a stranger. You don't know who I am. I shouldn't just walk in. And then I would hear a little voice saying, let me put my pants on and I'll come answer the door. And I was thinking, I was like, I almost walked in and that pantsless person. But when I get into these spaces, they listen. And in a day, I was able to reach hundreds of young people, people who might not have otherwise voted. And so I hope that we remember that we all have a lot of work to do, that if it is not already in our plan to do this, that we are really intentional about how to register young new voters. And that we never forget that the important things that we do when somebody becomes naturalized or someone becomes a citizen, that unless they are told it is their right and their responsibility to vote, they may not know, because I didn't vote for a long time because no one else reapproached me later when I could vote to say, that is your honor being a citizen of this country. And so that is my hope for the future. And you know, before I end, I just wanted to say that I was actually really nervous coming up today, because when I saw the lineup of all of the amazing women, I saw Justice McCaig on this list, and I thought, I hope I don't go after her, because I've heard her speak before, and she's really good. But I realized that all of the women tonight were superb, and I could not be more humbled to be on this stage and to be sharing this space with these people, and to be able to say that I've been riding their coattails for a long time, and that I thank all of you for the work that you are doing, in addition to helping all of us get to these places where we do have a place at the table and we are making a difference. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Representative Herr. Please join me in honoring next Patricia Therese Ray, Minnesota State Senator and first Latina elected to the Minnesota Senate.
Buenas noches. Feliz cumpleaños. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. I am so happy to be here with you tonight. Good evening. My name is Patricia Torres Ray, and I have the honor to be the first Latina elected to the Minnesota Senate. And share tonight these stories with so many wonderful women of color and women who have been first. I am so happy to be here because I believe that this is a perfect moment to celebrate the League of Women Voters, to celebrate a century of hard work, and hard work built in democracy as we prepare for our next presidential election. And the stakes couldn't be higher. The decision that we make soon will have a profound effect in our nation and the world. We will reshape the Supreme Court. We will fundamentally alter how we function politically, economically, socially, intellectually, ethically. A lot of work that we need to do to educate our country. And the League of Women Voters have been doing this. But what I believe is that we are not doing enough to support their work, that we have taken for granted a lot of the work that a few women are doing on behalf of the rest of us, and we need to do more. The League began its work as a political experiment. They were designed to help 20 million women fulfill their responsibility as new voters. Well, today, my dear friends, we need to wake up 235 million voters in the United States. That's a lot of people. I have personally benefited from the work of the League. I remember the challenges that I faced when I announced that I was running for office. That was 2005. Please remember, there was no Facebook, there was no Twitter, there was no way to let people know that I was running for office. After all, I was a Latina who was working in DHS. Nobody knew my name. Nobody knew how to pronounce Torres. And no Latina has run for the Minnesota Senate before. So how could I let people know that I could actually run for Senate and I could actually do a decent job? I have served the state for 16 years prior to that time. Well, the League of Women Voters was there for me, and they organized, I remember that very vividly. They organized in my district the first forum that allowed me to talk about my experience, that allowed me to present myself. And there were other people who were seeking the DFL endorsement, and in my district, it's very well known that if you get, well, not anymore, but if you got the DFL endorsement in those times, you could probably get elected. So I needed to prepare for that, and the League was there for me. In fact, there were many women from the League who called me and taught me how to do that, how I could present myself in those debates, and what I needed to do to organize a campaign. I thank you for that, because you did it for me, and you have done it for so many women after me. But I have to tell you that the work is very challenging, and that after all of this work, and after 80 years of trying to get us there and to get our voices to the tables of power, there are only 3 women of color who have run for the Minnesota Senate. And today, there is only 2 of us, Senator Melissa Franson and myself. So we need your help, and we need more resources devoted to this organization so that there can be more of us. And why is this so important? Not just because I need to get there, but because there are other women who want to be there and who really want to speak and tell the stories of women who are facing significant challenges in our country. So remember this. The goal 80 years ago, 100 years ago really, was to gain the right to vote because women wanted economic and political equality and social reforms. Women wanted the right to control their earnings, own property, and take custody of their children. 100 years later, many women are fighting for that today. While women make overall 77 cents for every dollar, Hispanic women are only making 61 cents, and Black women only make 70 cents on a dollar. Women of color make about 33% of the female workforce and are twice as likely as their white female counterparts to be unemployed in low-wage sectors like the service industry. Black and Latina women are disproportionately unemployed. 13% of Black women today are unemployed, and 11% of Latina women are unemployed, while only 7% of white women are unemployed. 100 years to control our earnings, and we cannot even get a job. 100 years trying to fight to own property, but Minneapolis has the country's widest gap and a historic low Black home ownership rate. While 74.8% of white people own their home, only 24% of African Americans own their home. And this is perhaps the most difficult thing for me to accept as a Latina. I have worked for 33 years on issues affecting children and child poverty. And perhaps you don't know that 33% of children that are in out-of-home placement are children of color. 40% of these children are Black. 67% of these children are Native American. 100 years fighting for the custody of our children. And many children are being removed from African American homes and Native homes today. So we have a lot of work to do. We have accomplished a lot together. I am a product of the work that you've done, and I am very, very proud to be a senator. But there is a lot of work that I need to do, and sometimes it gets very lonely. We need to elect more women. We need to inspire more women. And we really need to be absolutely intentional about making sure that these 80 decades of protest will result in real change. Thank you so much for being here today. Happy birthday. Feliz cumpleaños.
Thank you so much, Senator Torres-Ray. I would now like to share with you a very special greeting from another female first who was not able to attend, but wanted to share her regards with you all. Amy Klobuchar, United States Senator and first woman elected from Minnesota to the U.S. Senate.
Hello to everyone gathered at the League of Women Voters 100th anniversary. I think you know I'd much rather be there with you in person, but there's just a few things going on right now if you haven't noticed, so I'm honored to join you via video. I want to thank you, the League of Women Voters Minnesota, for your work lifting up voices of women and really all people across our state. And at a time of great divisiveness, I want to thank you for promoting civility in our politics and in our political discourse, including, I'm thinking back to my League of Women Voters debates, our debates. I know a little thing about debates right now. In 2019, as we mark the 100th anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment, we need your leadership now more than ever. A few years ago, I was on Trevor Noah's evening show, and I told him, and this is a true fact, in the history of the Senate at the time, nearly 2,000 men have served and only about 50 women. He said that if that ratio was a nightclub, they would have shut it down. Seriously, as the first woman elected to the United States Senate from Minnesota, tonight's theme, Female First, has a special meaning. For me, I've seen it change even in my time in the Senate. We're up to 25 women serving in the Senate. We chair committees. Right now, the women are either the lead Republican or lead Democrat on over half the committees in the U.S. Senate. That's a big change. So tonight, I thought, given that you're honoring first, I'd tell you one little story of my favorite first. And that is when my friend, Senator Tammy Duckworth, the senator from Illinois, who, by the way, lost her legs serving our country in a helicopter crash in theater. She's this incredible, brave woman, came back, got married, got elected to the Senate, had a baby, then at age 50, decided to have another baby. She came to me and asked, what could she do to make this work when she already had a kid at home? And I said, I will make this work for you. She, in fact, was the first woman to have a baby while serving in the Senate. So our idea, in the year 2018, maybe we could change the Senate rules to allow a new parent to bring their baby to the floor for votes, because we have all kinds of late-night votes. It took months to get it done. In fact, at one point, one of the male senators said, "Why, maybe we can have one baby on the floor, but what if we have 10 babies on the floor?" And I said, we already have 10 babies on the floor. Well, in any case, after months, we got it done and we passed the new rule. The next day, when Tammy was called in to vote, with a gallery filled with hundreds of reporters peering down, a 50-year-old decorated veteran with no legs wheeled herself onto the Senate floor, and on her lap was a tiny 6-pound little girl named Miley Pearl. She became the first child in the history of the Senate to make an appearance on the Senate floor, and she slept through the entire historic moment. So when people ask me, how can you deal with these hard times and gridlock and everything that's happened, I think of that moment. And I think of Tammy, and you all think of moments where you have made a difference. I think that story and the work that you're doing would make the suffragettes proud, because you are a group the suffragettes would admire. Whether at the local, state, or national level, you're carrying on the torch of their work. You're on the front lines of informing voters and strengthening our democracy at an unprecedented time. You're making sure women's voices are heard and that our power continues to rise. But we have a lot of work to do. I know, I've been out there. Like fighting against one of the greatest injustices today, attempts to create barriers to voting. The right to vote is deeply embedded in the fabric of the American dream. It's who we are as a country, and our democracy depends on it. But across the country, we're seeing efforts to prevent access to the ballot. That's why we need to pass the Voting Rights Act, get it reauthorized, and pass my bill to automatically register kids to vote when they turn 18. What else? We need to get the dark money out of our politics and pass a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United. There's more. Getting rid of gerrymandering, stopping that partisan congressional mapping. There is so much more we can do, but we're only going to be able to do it together. So thanks, congratulations, 100 years. Here's to the first night of your second century. A toast to you, you know, we have budget cuts, so it's just water. Enjoy the rest of the event. You deserve it.
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar. Join me now in honoring Ann K. McKeague, Associate Justice, Minnesota Supreme Court, and the first Native American State Supreme Court Justice.
Good evening. Happy birthday, Bonjour, Anine. After what Representative Herr said, I'm screwed, so thank you a lot, Representative Herr. I really appreciated that. I'm really happy to be here tonight. I do have to say, though, in thinking about the evening and that it's been 100 years for women since the right to vote, we have yet to reach 100 years for those of us Native American citizens of this country. We didn't earn the right to vote until 1924. So we do yet have work to do. And also when I was thinking about tonight, I was thinking about how on earth it is that I got where I am. There's so many things to talk about when it comes to that. But I think about my mom. And many of us talked about our moms tonight. I was really lucky. I was growing up in rural Minnesota, Federal Dam, population 106 on the Leech Lake Reservation. I grew up in a trailer house with 4 very mediocre brothers. So there wasn't really a lot to look up to. But thankfully I had a mom, and my mom was a Fulbright scholar. She had grew up in Bemidji, yes. She went off to St. Catherine's University where they really taught her about leadership, and she wanted to be in the Peace Corps, and she wanted to change the world and educate the world and offer opportunity. But she met my dad, and they married and had 5 children. And she moved back to the reservation for the betterment of her family because she really wanted to stay in the Twin Cities and work on her dreams. But my dad was from Onagum, and he just couldn't make it in the Twin Cities. And so after packing up kids and heading north every weekend, she decided it was time to go home. And I'm so grateful that she did. But even though we were up north in this very small town, I knew that it was an obligation for myself to go to school. Now, I didn't know what that was going to be because in my mind, I was going to be a country music singer. I was going to Nashville. I go out walking after midnight, out in the moonlight, just like we used to do. I'm always walking after midnight, searching for you. Thank you. However, Cecilia McKeague said, well, it's nice to have a dream, but there's always good to have a backup plan. And so she said, you're going to school. And so I did go off to college, and I made it through college and law school and got a job in the county attorney's office, and then was able to make it onto the district court after watching a Native American man by the name of Robert Blazer, who was the first Native American district court judge in the Twin Cities. I sat in the back of the room and watched him be sworn in, and it was at that moment that I thought, well, maybe someday I can become a judge. And when I met him, he said, not a chance. But he worked with me. He worked with me. And then it came time, there was this opening on the Minnesota Supreme Court, and he came to me and he said, you're going to apply. And I thought that he had been drinking over the lunch hour, or perhaps age was setting in, but he said, no, you're gonna do this. So I applied, and I absolutely had no idea or thoughts that this would happen, but it was driving down the road. I'd sent my family off to Mexico because my husband is from Mexico, and he immigrated to the United States to marry me off the beaches of Mazatlan, another crazy moment for him. We have 5 kids, and I had sent them on vacation, so I was on vacation. And the phone rang, and it said Governor Mark Dayton, and I thought, okay, I gotta look really cool, so I was trying to put my sunglasses on, like he could see me. And I'm, hello, and I find out that I get the appointment, and it was all these things that came to me at once. I thought, first of all, what is my hometown gonna think of Federal Dam? Were they gonna think that I was a sellout, that I was gonna leave the lovely woods of Federal Dam and I was gonna live in the Twin Cities, or were they gonna be okay with that? And I wonder what my Native American friends were gonna think. Were they gonna think that it was okay that I was gonna be the first? Because I'm not only the first in Minnesota, I'm the first in the United States. And were people gonna think I was smart enough? Was I good enough to be in this position? And I got on the court and people were lovely. I was fortunate to have a colleague like Margaret Chudich and many others on the court, but it doesn't mean that I didn't doubt myself. And I did that for a long time. And one day I was walking around and I had written this letter to Justice Sonia Sotomayor. And I had told her that she was an inspiration to me after reading her book, and the fact that she had grew up in poverty. And she had grew up in the Bronx, and she had made it to the United States Supreme Court as the first Latina. And I came back and I was thinking, man, I don't think I'm smart enough. These people use language that I've never heard before and words that I've never heard before. And I don't know if I can make it. And I had received a phone call, and it was from Justice Sonia Sotomayor. She was coming to Minnesota, and she wanted to meet me. I tried to be a very humble and gracious person and immediately ran down to my colleague, David Lilhog, and I said, Justice Sotomayor is coming. He's like, oh yeah, we have tickets. Do you want to ride? And I'm like, oh, I can't. She just called. So I got the chance to meet her and talk to her, and she right away said that she wanted to help me get more Native American people on the district court bench and the federal court bench because she views it as one of her obligations. And I thought that was amazing. Thought it was amazing that this woman on the United States Supreme Court would call a girl from Federal Dam, Minnesota, and would give of her time to me. And she gets what is so incredibly important, and that is the following. When a young person, even a gifted one, grows up without proximate living examples of what she may aspire to become, whether lawyer, scientist, artist, or a leader in any realm, her goal remains abstract. Such models as appear in books or on the news, however inspiring or revered, are ultimately too remote to be real, let alone influential. But a role model in the flesh provides more than inspiration. His or her very existence is confirmation of possibilities one may have every reason to doubt, saying, yes, someone like me can do this. And I'm just here to reiterate that, Representative Herr, right? Someone like all of us who are here tonight can do this. But we also must continue to lean back and help those who are coming after us, because we all have that obligation. Thank you very much for including me tonight. I really appreciate it. Miigwech.
Thank you, Justice McKay. Now I'd like to welcome to the stage Kim Norton, Mayor of Rochester, and the first woman mayor of Rochester.
Well, good evening. It's tough to be near the end, but I will tell you, it has just been wonderful to be able to listen to these stories and these remarkable women. And not only the women that have been speaking, although they are remarkable, and I feel honored to be one of them, there are other people in this audience, and I really regret, I feel like I only met this small corner over here, and there's all of the rest of you out here. But colleagues that I served with and have such respect for in this audience, and we're not getting to hear their stories, and they're fabulous too. First, congratulations to the League for its first 100 years and the first night of its next 100 years. Truly remarkable. I really appreciate being asked to be here. I didn't set out to be the first female mayor of Rochester. I just set out to be the mayor of Rochester. And I didn't really give it much thought. But one of the things that's been really humbling and fascinating for me is to find out how many young people, and frankly, how many moms and dads bring their young people up to have their picture taken with me as the first mayor. It's maybe a bigger deal to them than it was to me when I ran. But now I feel such a heavy burden to do a good job because everybody's watching, which is a little bit of a surprise. I just thought I'd tell you, the reason I'm up here, honestly, is because of two organizations. One is the PTA, and one is the League of Women Voters. Yeah. These organizations, both of them, have been such a part of my adult life. I would say the things that I learned are there are a number of things that I learned. The importance of voting, the importance of registering people to vote, educating myself. I started attending League of Women Voters forums and ended up learning the skills of moderation, being a League member. I learned advocating, what it's not lobbying, advocating. What does it mean to be a parent or a citizen and really care about issues and do something about it? I learned Robert's rules. Ugh. I hate those, but they're a skill that has been super helpful in the legislature and in many other places in my life. I learned and was encouraged to help other people run for office. And many of you may not know my background, but I did just that. Oh, I should help somebody. So I worked on a couple campaigns. I was asked to be a campaign chair very early on, and they should not have asked me, but they did. So I chaired a campaign for a gentleman running for school board. I helped a second campaign of another gentleman running for school board, and I thought, I know more than either of these guys do. Why don't I just run for school board? So I did. So I served 8 years on the Rochester School Board, and several of the people in the audience here today, Mindy Greiling and Nora Slawick, are two, knocked on my door and asked if I might consider running for the legislature. And so not only did I help other people run, I ran myself for the Minnesota legislature, and I had the luxury, really, and honor of serving for 10 years. Yeah, come on. That was, yeah. Just for surviving it, I should get a hand. Come on. So I did serve 10 years, and now I find myself the mayor of Rochester. It is an absolutely marvelous city. And some of the citizens and residents of Rochester are here, my fellow League members. What you may not know is that I had to step down as president of the Rochester League of Women Voters in order to run for mayor. So these wonderful women over here have stepped up, and actually they were there before me and will be there, after me. I guess in closing, I will just say it's an honor to be a first, but more than that, it's an honor to be a League member. I continue to serve on my League board. So as I continue to do the work of being mayor and moving our community along as it grows, I'm really just as excited to continue to serve on my League of Women Voters board, to work with the State League, because I really worry that young people are joining organizations, not just the League, but many organizations in the numbers that they did years ago. And I fear that they don't understand the hard work that this organization and other organizations have done to lay that foundation for them. And I want to work with you to make sure that they do know that, and that they become League members, and that they work just as hard to make sure that we encourage more women to run and more qualified people to run, and we continue to enroll people into voter rolls and turn people out at elections. It's just such an important part. The League is such an important part of our democracy. So I'll be there working with you, and I thank you for allowing me this opportunity this evening.
Thank you, Mayor Jenkins. And now our final speaker of the evening. Please join me in honoring Andrea Jenkins, Minneapolis City Council member and its first African American openly trans woman elected to office in the United States.
Oh my goodness, what an honor to be on this stage with so many incredible women. Mayor, you said it was tough being close to the last. It's very tough being the last. My name is Andrea Jenkins, and I bring you greetings from the Minneapolis City Council across the river. I'm proud to be the vice president of the Minneapolis City Council. And so, thank you. Thank you. You know, we had this amazing campaign that really consisted of about 98% women, young women. My campaign manager was a 20-year-old student at the University of Minnesota. And not only did we win, we increased the voter turnout by 11%. And we won in our district with 73% of the vote. And so earlier this evening, Commissioner Carter and Representative Bang both alluded to Sojourner Truth, Ain't I a Woman? And as a transgender African-American woman, I have to ask that question myself. And it's still a relevant question for so many trans people of color. In 2019, 21 transgender women of color have been murdered in this country. The American Medical Association calls it an epidemic. The United States Army says that transgender women can no longer serve in the military. Transgender women can be denied medical assistance at hospitals since this administration has taken place. Transgender people are banned from homeless shelters. And so the question is real. Ain't I a woman? Sojourner Truth delivered these words in 1851. And for some of us, it is still very relevant today. Well, children, where there is no such racket, there must be something out of kilter. I think that twixt the Negroes of the South and the women of the North, all talking about rights, the white men will be in a fix pretty soon. But what's all this here talking about? That man over there says that women need to be helped into a carriage and lifted over ditches, and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into carriages or over mud puddles or gives me any best place. Ain't I a woman? Look at me. Look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns, and no man could head above me. Ain't I a woman? I could work as much and eat as much as any man when I could get it, and bear the lash as well. And ain't I a woman? I have borne 13 children and seen most of them sold off to slavery. And when I cried out with a mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. Ain't I a woman? Then they talk about this thing in the head. What's this they call it? A member of the audience whispers, intellect. That's it, honey. What's that got to do with a woman's right or a Negro's right? If my cup won't hold but a pint and yours holds a quart, wouldn't you be mean not to let me have a little half measure full? And then that little man in the black there, he says women can't have as much rights as men because Christ wasn't a woman. Where did your Christ come from? Where did your Christ come from? From God and a woman. Man ain't had nothing to do with him. If the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn the world upside down all alone, these women together ought to be able to turn it back and get it right side up again. And now they is asking to do it, and the men better let them. Obliged to you for hearing me. And now, old Sojourner ain't got nothing more to say. Sojourner Truth. So I am a little bit of a poet myself. Earlier today, I spent the entire day at the League of Minnesota Poets. So there's another league out there that is doing amazing work. And they've been organizing poets since 1935. So it was an honor to be with them today, and it's my deep honor to be with you tonight. And I'm going to share a poem called Women Are the Muse of the World, which is a quote from Zora Neale Hurston. I always look for the cubicles, that 4x8 space with 4 lights in the credenza, that cramped space that defines my existence, my life in a box. I've never had a door that was always open, or to close for that matter. Women are the muse of the world. Mules that live in cubicles, that change diapers for their mothers, that change lives for their sons, but not for their daughters, that change relationships because it's their responsibility, that will change the world when they leave their cubicles. Thank you so much for having me here tonight, and hope everybody has a wonderful night ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Jenkins. Now, we would like to thank all of these wonderful women who joined us tonight. Weren't they awesome? Fantastic. Their stories were illuminating, and we greatly appreciate the work that they do and the stories that they shared. I'd like to now turn to a little fun and games again and introduce again our auctioneer, Sarah Jean Knox, and also a reminder that the bar will be closing at 9:30 in just a few minutes.
Hello, everyone. How are we? Okay, so we have a lot of important work to do still, and I know your tushies are probably a little sore. So before I go into live auction, I just want you to just stand up. We're gonna do like a 7th inning stretch here because when I stood up, I was like, whoo, I'm good, I'm standing. But then I thought, well, that's not really fair. I think you need to stand too. So just stretch it out real quick. Maybe say something to your neighbor that you were thinking about saying, but you were listening so intently to the amazing women who all shared with us. So quickly, get it out, do what you need to say, and then we're gonna raise some money tonight, okay? Okay, just get the wiggles. It's not fair that I also have to be on a screen while I'm wiggling, so I'll do it much Neater. Okay, I'm also going to ask that the house lights come up if I can get those. Oh, she spoke and made light. Okay. Well, I am so happy to be here with you. You can take your seats again. And we are here to continue to support the work of the League of Women Voters. And it's done by your time, but it's also done by our financial contributions. And we have some amazing live auction items with you. And I want you to each find your bid numbers, raise them in the air so I know that you have them. And while what I have to say right now is not necessarily inspiring about my work in politics, but it is important work that we are going to do right now. And I'm going to have you follow along with me in your programs as well as on the screen. We're going to have these for you, and we're just going to dive into it. Our first live auction item is an almanac experience at Twin Cities Public Television. This is your opportunity to bring the Twin Cities Public Television studio in St. Paul and watch a live taping of the Almanac show. Almanac is Minnesota's longest running public affairs show. When it debuted in 1984, Almanac upended the traditional public affairs format by combining balanced reporting, thoughtful analysis, and a one-of-a-kind mix of Midwest quirkiness. Look for Almanac an everyday Friday at 7 p.m. on your local PBS station, and a great opportunity to watch the news come to life. And so you're going to get your chances for up to 6 people to attend and watch a live taping. And what we're going to do is we're going to bid on it right now. Start me off at $200. Do I have 200 to start at? 200. I have 2 now, 3. I have 2 and $300 bid with 3. We have 3 now, 4. $400 bid with 4. Give me $400 bid with 4. We have 3 right here now. $400. 400. You have 4 now, 5. $500 bid with 5. $500 bid with 5. Give me 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 $500 bid with 5. I have 400 right here and 500. You're in at 5 and $600. 600 would have been $600 bid with 6. 600 bid with 6. 600. You have 600 and $700. 700 would have been $700 bid with 7. 700 bid with 7. 700 bid with 7. She's going for 600 right now, so you can bid 7. I have 6 and 7. 700 bid with 7. 700 bid with 7. 700 bid with 7. 700 bid with 7. We have $600 bid with 7. 600 bid because she gets to bring 5 friends and it's not you. I mean, I don't know, maybe you would. Maybe you're going to be a kind-hearted person, but no, she says no. I'm not. 7 and 800. 800 bid 8. 800 bid 8. We have 7 and $800. Give me $800. 800 bid 8. 800 bid 8. 800 bid 8. Give me 800. Yes, she says 8 and 900. It's your turn. I have 900. Would have been 900 bid 9. We have 8 right here now. 9. $900. We have $800. She has $800 going once. I have $800 going twice and 3 times. It is sold for $800 right here. Bidder 268, bidder 268 for $800, and that was the Almanac experience at Twin Cities Public Television. Our next item, we have a night at the theater. Any theater fans here in the Twin Cities? Yes, we have a thriving theater community here, taking the full breadth and depth of Minnesota's amazing theater scene with 2 tickets each to 6 of our local theater companies. Penumbra Theater committed to creating a forum for African American expression that helped launch Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright August Wilson's career. Mixed Blood Theater Company, a leader in social justice-focused theater here in the Twin Cities. Park Square Theater in St. Paul, Stages Theater in Hopkins, and the famed and beloved Guthrie Theater, and tickets with dinner at Chanhassen Dinner Theaters. You get tickets to all of these, so if you're someone who likes to go out to the theater, this is your time to bid on this one. Start me off. Can I start it at $300? 300 for tickets to all of the theaters that I just mentioned that are also going to be on here as well. $300. Where are we? 300 and now 4. I have 4 in the back now. 5. 500 5. You have 4 back here now. 500. 500 5. 500 5. You have 5 now. 6. 600 6. 600 6. Me 600 6. You have 6 and 7. 700 7. 700 7. 700 7. 700 7. $700 is what I'm looking for. I just saw someone say this. Okay, so I have 700 and now $800. 800 would have been $800. We have 7 in the front and 800. 800, 800, 800, give me $800 bid. I have 700 in the front. You have it at 800, now 900, 900, 900. I know they keep doing that, don't they? They just keep outbidding you, but it's easy to get back at them. You just do this. So easy. I have 8 looking for 900, 900, 900, 9, 900, 9, 900, 9. We have 8 in the back and 900, 900, 900, 900, she says, and $1,000. 1,000 with $1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, $1,000. She's 900 and 1,000. Again, she has these tickets. She won't bring you. Definitely not. No. Yeah, he's like, I called dibs on that, right? That's what you get. I have 900 looking for $1,000, $1,000, $1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. We have $900. I think she just nodded. If you didn't notice that, I think she said, yeah, you should raise your hand again. I read body language as well. So I have 900 looking for 1,000. We have 900 in the front going once. You have $900 going twice. And 3 times. It is sold, $900. She's so excited. 237 for $900. That is the theater package. Next, we have the ultimate Twin Cities experience. This is your chance to explore the beautiful and historic Twin Cities with this collection of experiences in the metro area. Spend a night at the St. Paul Hotel, a place that a century ago hosted the post-19th Amendment ratification party attended by scores of jubilant suffragists. Yes, you can go, you can relive it, you can wear your outfits. Including our founder, Clara Euland. Then head over to the iconic W.A. Frost with your $100 gift certificate for a meal before a night for 2 at the Minnesota Opera and the Minnesota Orchestra, or after a day for 2 at the St. Paul Saints Ballpark. So you get all of these things within this experience and enjoy the cultural treasures of the Museum of Russian Art all year long with a family membership. Okay. Start me off with the Twin Cities, very St. Paul heavy experience. Start me off. Do I have 300 to start? I have 3 now, 4. I have 3 and $400, but with 4. $400, but with 4. Give me $400, but with 4. We have 3 in the front and $400. 400. We have 3 in the front, and I need a second to make it an auction, though, because right now I'm just saying 300. I have 3 now, 4. $400, but with 4. $400, but with 4. And you have 400 now, 5. $500, but with 5. $500, but with 5. Give me $500, but with 5. $500, but with 5. You have 4 and 5. 4 and $500, but with 5. $500, but with 5. Would have 500, but with 5. We have 4 now, 5. She has 4. Now $500, 500. Don't forget, you do get the Saints game with this. And we could get you a sash if you don't already have one to wear it to the St. Paul Hotel. You'd look so great in it. He's like, that wasn't the problem. It was not his confidence in wearing the sash. Okay, that's fair. So I have 400 now, $500. 500, but 500, but with 5. She has it at $400. I have $400 going once. 500 you're in, and $600. 600, but it's $600, but with 6. 600, but with 6. 600, but with 6. Me 600, but with 6. 600, but with 6. You have 600 now, 700. $700, but with 7. She has 600 now, 7. 700, but with 7. Give me $700. 600 right here, and 700. 700. We see 600 right in the center table, looking for $700. 700 with 700. We have 6 and 7, but with 700, but with 7. You have 7 now, 8. 800, but with 8. 800, but with 8. 800, but with 8. 800, but with $800. $800. Give her some encouragement, please. This table. Right? So you have 7 and 800. 800 with 800, but with 8. We have 7 right here and $800. I have $700 on the side. They're going once. Don't give up this easily. I have 700 on the side going twice. I will say, something that I find works well for my children is they wait till I get to that 3, like just to the end, to actually do what they want to do. And that could work for you. Okay, 800. I told you. It's a lot more fun. I have 800 now, 9. 900, but 9. 900, but 9. Give me 900, but no 9 would have been 900, but no 9 would have been 900, but no 9. She has $800. $800. I have $800 going once. We have $800 going twice. Yes, to you so far for $800. And we have it 3 times. It is sold for $800. Let's see that bid number real quick. She's coming around to $800. You have her bid number. And that is for the Ultimate Twin Cities experience. Okay, here's a really special one. Lunch with Peggy Lucas and John Grow, longtime league members. Oh my gosh. No, that makes a huge difference when you read people's names the right way. Joan Grow, so sorry. Longtime league members and leaders and former elected officials, Peggy Lucas and Joan Grow, would like to invite 4 people to join them for lunch on Monday, November 18th. Okay, Monday, November 18th. So everyone get out your phones or day planners or Palm Pilots. Just kidding, no one has those anymore. Yeah, you guys remember those? Peggy can share stories from the trenches as a member of the University of Minnesota Board of Regents that hired the first woman U of M president. Joan can share experiences both as a Minnesota state legislator and Secretary of State, where she served for 24 years helping to support voter participation and making Minnesota #1 for voter turnout. Yes, that is worth celebrating. And this great opportunity to lunch and learn with amazing leaguers. So, this is an opportunity for you and 3 friends. There's 4 of you. November 18th, Monday, November 18th. So clear your schedules and let's start bidding. Can I start it off at $200? $200 to start. $200. This is for you and 4 people. So right now you get to charge your friends. We have 2 now. 3. $300 bid with 3. $300 bid with 3. $300 bid with 3. I have 2 right here. You have it at $200. Now $300. $300 with $300 bid with 3. $300 bid with 3. $300 bid with 3. Give me $300 bid with 3. $300. $300. We have $200 now. $300. $300. $300 against it. I have 2 and 3. Would have been $300 bid. Would have been 3. $300 bid with 3. You might be getting this, like for cheap. We got to get something against you though, so I can come back at 4. So I have 200 and now $300. 300 but a $300 bid with 3. We have $200. It's going once. I have $200 going twice and 3 times. It is sold. You wanted to get in there in the last minute, didn't you? Do you think they'd have room for a couple more? Okay, if you want to bring your 4 friends for $200, I bet they'd let you come. I mean, she just said they would also let you come. Do you want to join them for $200? What? You don't. Well, 3 friends. Well, you can go yourself, and then we can just recruit people off the street. We have they said they can do up to 8. You're okay? How about you? Do you want in for those last 4 at 200? Yes. Okay, so they're saying 159. They are also going to go for 4 people for 200. Congratulations. That's awesome. All right, next we have brunch at the Women's Club of Minneapolis with Secretary of State Steve Simon. So we're going to bring a party of 6 to Sunday brunch at the historic Women's Club of Minneapolis. I've always pronounced that Women's Club, not Woman's Club. And dine and dish with Secretary of State Steve Simon. Secretary Simon is a huge supporter of the League of Women Voters as we share mission to register and empower voters. We also share a wonderful history with the Women's Club as Clara Euland helped found both organizations. Don't miss this opportunity to bring your friends and family this wonderful morning to celebrate 100 years of women voting, serving in our communities. And this is Sunday brunch. Date not known. It's kind of up to you and Secretary of State. So, so you and Simon can figure that out as go. It's just Sunday brunch, and that's always great. And the beautiful Women's Club, I love that venue. So this is a great chance for you to go with them. Can I have, this is 6 people, 200 to start, 200. Do I have 200? I have 2 now, 3. $300 bid with 3. $300 bid with 3, 3. 3 now, 4. $400 bid with 4. $400 bid with 4. You're at 4 now, 5. $500 bid with 5. $500 bid with 5. $500 bid with 5. $500 bid now, 5. $500 bid now, 5. $500 bid now, 5. We have 400 right here. This is an opportunity to get one-on-one with Simon, and we're going to be able to talk about everything that you're passionate about, talk about how we're going to get more voters registered, or just kind of talk about anything. You could talk about people you didn't like at Thanksgiving. For all I care. It could be as casual as you want, it could be as formal as you want, but it's for you and 5 other people. And we're looking for 500. I have 4 now, $500. $500, but with 5. $500, but with 5. $500, but with 5. Give me $500, but with 5. We have 4. You have it at 400 right now. And I need someone against you, and then I would come back at 6, okay? Is that okay? Okay, we're on the same page. So now that he knows I'm coming back at 6, it would be a good chance to bid at 5, right? So I have 4 now, 5. 500, but with 5. 500, but with 5. 500, but with 5. 500, but no 5. We have 400 right here going once. You have $400 going twice. And 3 times. It is sold for $400. Bidder 315. 315. Again, that was the brunch at the Women's Club with Steve Simon for $400. Okay. Before we go into our next item, there will be a short video, but this is going to be Make Democracy Work, an evening with author Laurie Strudevant and Senator Dave Durenberger. So can we just show a quick video before I get into this item?
Hi, I'm Laurie Sturdivant, and I'd like to congratulate and commend the Minnesota League of Women Voters for 100 years of working to keep elections fair and the polls open to all citizens, regardless of gender, race, or class. I'd also like to invite you to consider a conversation about my latest book at your next League chapter book event. Former U.S. Senator Dave Durenberger and I will come to you for a discussion of our 2018 book, When Republicans Were Progressive. That's an auction item at the October 26th Centennial Gala. Please consider it. Thank you.
This is a really unique item. You're going to enjoy a special evening with both Lori as well as Dave. And as they join your league or your book club or your, no, they won't come to Thanksgiving. But an event that you hold, it doesn't look like there's any limit of people that you can have there, but this would be great in a small group for discussion. And they're delighted to come to your event for an hour to answer questions and to sign books. As Republican U.S. Senator Bob Dole writes, Dave and Lori show how progressive Republicans made Minnesota a state that works, and how Republican U.S. Senate leaders found policy space between right and left. I was just thinking about which side was right and left right now. And I realized it doesn't matter because it's different for us at this point, because this is my left. That's okay. Anyway, how to make the country better during challenging times. Politics is not a dirty word. It's the way we figure out how to build a better world together. Minnesotans did it, and this country can do it again. And I think we can all agree that Minnesota is so special. In our political climate too. So let's start us off on this unique experience. Let's start at $200. You're in the back, and 3, now 4, 4 now 5, and 6, and 7. 7 7. 7. You have it at 600 right now. I need 7 against you, and I'll come back at 8. You have 6, and now 700. 700, but it's 7 7. 7 7. 7 7. You have it at 600, and 7 7. 7. Far, way back table has it at 600, whereas 700, and now $800. Now you may bid. 800, and now 900. 900, but 900, but 9. 900, but 9. 900, but 9 would have been 900, but 9 would have been 900, but 9. 900, but 9. This will be really impressive for your book club when you're like, this is the book I recommend, and I can bring discussion. You have to bring wine, but I'll bring discussion. You'll be very impressive. For 900 and 1,000, 1,000, we're looking for 1,000. We have 900 right here, looking for $1,000. You have it 1,000 and 1,100. 1,100, but 1,100. 1,100, give me 1,100. That's 1,100. I kind of roll my 11s. 11. It's a weird thing that I do as a habit now. So I have 1,000 looking for 1,100. 1,100, but 1,100, but 1,100. 1,100, but 1,100, give me 1,100, but 1,100. With 1,000 in the back, 1,000 way back here, and looking for 1,100. 1,100. We have $1,000 in the back. You have it going once. I thought that might happen. 1,100, now 1,200 would have been 1,200. We've like, oh, 1,200, welcome to the auction. And now 13 would have been 13 and all, but with 13 and all, but with 13 and all, but with 13 and all, but now 13 and all, but with 13 and all, but you're not going to want to give up now. We just got a rogue bidder. We don't know what's going to happen. It's really fun to bid 13, right? Because that's the lucky bidder number, 1,300. I have 12 looking for 1,300 with 13 and all, but with 13 and all, but with 13 and all, but with 13. We have it at this table at $1,200. Looking for 13 against it. We have $1,200 going once. You have it at 1,200. So I will come back to you if someone else bids. Don't you worry. I know you're ready. I have $1,200 going twice. And 3 times. It is sold for $1,200. Congratulations, 259. 259. Make democracy work for $1,200. Congratulations. Okay, we have a nature and science in Minnesota package. So there's a lot that's included in this. I'm going to go through it with you. I'm sure there's a lot of naturalists, environmentalists, people who love to be outside, because that's probably part of the reason we live in Minnesota is because of so much nature that we have here. Take advantage of Minnesota's wealth of natural wonders and scientific accomplishments with this collection of items and experiences. Visit the Wolves at the International Wolf Center. Has anyone been there before? Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? With 5 admission and program passes, wander the 1,200 acres at the Landscape Arboretum using your 4 VIP passes. I don't know exactly what VIP means, but it sounds very important. Drop by the Science Museum of Minnesota with 2 tickets to browse their exhibits and catch a film at the Omni Theater. And I noticed the Science Museum has like a whole thing just for women in science, girls in science, coming up in a couple weeks. So we know they love to support our blooming female scientists. Catch a film at the Omni Theater. Search the stars at the Bell Museum and Planetarium with your 4 passes. Learn about the glorious Minnesota River and the newly released book, For the Love of a River, The Minnesota, by a league member, Darby Nelson. Darby, are you here? Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for this. And meet some of the strongest, most stunning predators in the animal kingdom, not predators to you. The 4 tickets to the Raptor Center. So we are going to start this off here. Can I start this at $200 as well? 200, I have 2, now 3. I have 2 and 3, $300, but with 3. 300, you have 3, how about 4? They have 3 right here? I have 3, they bid first, so I have to give them 3 now, 4. $400 bid with 4. $400 bid with 4. $400 bid with 4. You have 4 now, 5. $500 bid with 5. $500 bid with 5. Give me $500 bid with 5. $500 bid with 5. You have 5 and 6. $600 bid with 6. She has 5 in the front here. Do you want 6? You have 600 now, 7. $700 bid with 7. $700 bid with 7. $700 bid with 7. You have $700 bid with 7. $700 bid with 7. You have it at $600. I need 700 against it. We have 6 right here. You have 189. Currently has $600 and $700. 700 bid $700 bid with 7. $700 bid with 7. $700 bid with 7. $700 bid with 7. We have $600. This will keep you busy for like the next week. Just take your week off work and just go do all of the science nature things Minnesota has to offer. I have 6 and now 7. You have 6 and 7. $700 bid with 7. I have $600 going once. We have $600 going twice. And 3 times. It is sold. 189 for $600 for the Minnesota Nature and Science Experience. Congratulations. Okay, next up, go Twins. This is for all you sports fans or not sports fans and just like to get out and do things. Enjoy 4 tickets to a Twins game in the gorgeous Target Field, date TBD, plus take home a baseball bat autographed by hometown hero Joe Mauer. Don't let the recent, I'm not going to read that. Forget about the playoffs, guys. It's all good. It's a new year, right? Next year for the Twins. And you get to go out and cheer them on. 4 tickets in the game. Oh, you're in. What are we going to, you're starting me off at 200 over here. And now 3. $300 bid with 3. We have 2 now, 3. You have 200. You're at 2. and 300, 300 with a 300, 3 now 4, 400 with 4, 400 with 4, give me 400 with 4, give me 400 with 4. We have 3 right here and 400, 400 with a 400 with 4, 400 with 4, give me 400 with 4, give me 400. I have 3 and $400, 400. You were all about the twins like a second ago, and now you're just like, you're just like, you just want me to start the bidding. You want me to stop talking. I get that. Okay. Fair enough. They didn't give me the confidence light down here. That's what it's called. The clock down here is the confidence light. I have $300 on the side going once. We're looking for 400 against it. I have $300 going twice. 400, you're in, and $500. 500 with a 500 with 5, 500 with 5, 500 with 5, 500 with 5, 500 and now 5, 500 and now 5. That seems like a giggle of relief at that table. We have 400 right here, now 5. 500 with 5. You have it at 400. Yes, you're in at 400. Unless you want to bid 5, in which case I will also take your money for that. So I have $400. You have it. I'm going to have it going once. We have $400 going twice and 3 times. It is sold. $400. Congratulations. 238, 238 for the twins package right here in the front. Just a couple to go. We have a taste of Lanesboro. So I'm sure many of you have visited beautiful Lanesboro, but it's one of Minnesota's most beautiful small towns. I got to let them know what's in it. I would love to just start it off, but I want to let you know. Curated by our very own Anne-Marie Flynn, who can't be here with us tonight, but this is going to include creative, just collections to show you the incredible creative work that's happening in Lanesboro. It's going to include 2 necklaces from jewelry designer Robbie Broken, 2 specialty jewelry pins, a handmade purse from fiber artist Jane K. Grevstead, a Come Follow Me edition print by Mike Casper, 2 cookbooks written by League member Mary Bell, 2 dozen cupcakes from Joelle Heyman, the Cupcake Lady, 1 original autumn watercolor by Lanesboro artist Jennifer Woods, and 5 watercolor greeting cards by Lanesboro artist Renee Bergstrom. And enjoy a community variety show with your free tickets and t-shirt from Lanesboro Arts, and then stay the night in the beautiful Cottage House Inn. So this is an overnight, as well as all these amazing things in here. There's also something that isn't in the notes, which is a beautiful wooden handmade bowl. But the artists are just like so generous there that they kept sending their stuff for the league. So we have that with us tonight. We will start it now. I will start at 200. You good? I'm at 200 now. 3. 300 with 3. 300 with 3. 300 with 3. 300. 300 with 3. 300 with 3. 300 with 3. We have 3 now. 4. 400 with 4. 400 with 4. 400 with 4. 400 with 4. We have 3 right here now. 4. This comes with some incredibly beautiful handmade items that will feel, as you're re-gifting them to people this holiday season, they will feel hand-picked specifically for them. So it's very special in that sense. So we're saving you some time. So we have was this a new bidder? We have 300. I had 300 over here. Is this now 4? Nope, this is still my 300. Now 400 against it, 400. We have 4 in the front, now 5. Now you may bid. I have 4 right down here in the front, and if that's not you, you should bid. Just a hint. If you are not this beautiful woman right here, it is your turn to bid. So I have 4 now. I'm looking for 500. 500 would have 500, but with 5. We have 4 in the front and 5 would have been 500, but with 5. 500, but with 5. 500, but with 5. 500, but with 5. We have 4 in the front looking for 500. She has $400 going once. We have $400 right here in the front going twice and 3 times. It is sold in the front for $400. 274. Congratulations. Next, we have a Trapped Puzzle Rooms, which is a favorite pastime and stress reliever for many of our state office staff. So it's a great time to use your logic and teamwork abilities. So that's fun. To escape from my personal nightmare, a temp agency-themed room full of work-related terrors. That was my very first job out of college, was placing temps. And so don't invite me, please. I will be in the corner crying of that room. Or a variety of magical missions in a Harry Potter escape room. So start me off on this. Can I have 100 to start it? I have 100 and now 150. 150 would have been 150. 150 would have been 150. We have 150 now, 2. 200 now, but with 2. You want 2? 200 over here, and 250. 250. Would have been 250. We have 250 and 3. 300 up, would have been 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 3. You have 3 right back here, and 350. 350 would have been 350. 350 would have been 350. 350. You have 350, and now $400. 400. 400. Table 19 has it at 350. If you're not at table 19, you should bid, or you can if you're at table 19. But okay, so we have 400 now. 450, 450, would have 450, 450, would have 450, 450, would have 450, 450, would have 450, 450, and $500, 500, 500 would have been 5, 500 would have been 5, give me 500 would have been 5. Table 19 has it at 450, looking for 500 against it. I have 450, 450, and 5, 500 would have been 5, 500 would have been 5, 500 would have been 5, give me 500 would have been 5. We have 450. I have $450 going once. $450, 500 right back here, and 550, 550 would have 550, 550 would have 550, 550 would have 550, 550, 550. Oh, I want to play nice, ladies. But no, I'm just kidding. You're so sweet. Thank you for that apology. I wasn't looking for that, but I love it. I have 500 and 550. 550 would have 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 550. We have $500 in the back. They have $500 going once. Back table has $500 going twice. Table 19, this is your chance. And I have $500 going 3 times. And it is sold. $500, bidder 225, 225 for $500. This is for the escape room. All right. This is our last physical live auction item, and then we have a really awesome opportunity for you to stand with the league tonight. But this is your last chance to bid if you want to play in the auction. This is your chance to commemorate the 19th Amendment through the arts at the Northrop. Receive 4 tickets and 1 parking voucher to the Celebrated Eve Project by the Martha Graham Dance Company, performing on the Carlson Family Stage April 4th, 2020. Along with Martha Graham, works featuring female protagonists. The program spotlights work by some of today's most important female choreographers, and receive 10 reserved seats, 2 parking vouchers for the Northrop Film Series screening of Iron Jawed Angels on March 25th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. in Northrop's Best Buy Theater. It is the true story of suffragist and so-called new woman Alice Paul. That's in quotes. I'm not saying that. That was in my, just want to be clear, that was in my notes to do the quotes. Alice Paul and the defiant young activists who reinvigorated the women's suffrage movement before the passing of the 19th Amendment. What a great way to share the suffrage stories with your friends or other league members. Can I start this off at $100? $100. We have 100 back here, and how about 150? Is that good? 150 and 2. $200 2. $200 2. $200 2. We have 2 in the back and 250. 250 now. 300, 300, with $300, 3. They have 250 at 19. Now 300, 300, with 3 of 3 now 350. 350 would have been 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 350. UN at 350. They have 300 in this table back here. Looking for 350. 350. She's at 350 and $400. 400 with $400 4. $400 4. Give me $400 4. $400 4. 400. They have 350 and 400. This is for the 2 separate events celebrating women. For 400, I have 350. You're in at 4 now. 450, 450, 450 now. 5. $500 with 5. $500 with 5. Give me $500 with 5. $500 with 5. $500 with 5. I have 450 going once. We have $450 going twice. Are you sure? You're still chatting about it back there. I don't want to count to 3 and make you feel sad. And I have $450 3 times, and it is sold right here. 1, 2, 3. Always my favorite bidder number. 1, 2, 3 for $450. Congratulations. And folks, I love that I get to be here with you tonight. I love that what we're doing is we are raising money for a nonprofit, for someone. We're not here to profit ourselves. We're not here to promote personal agendas, but we're here to promote the agendas of everyone and make sure everyone's voices are heard and everyone's voices are taken into consideration, and that we continue to have fair voting processes and ways to continue to move that forward. And in a moment, I am going to give you an opportunity to stand with the league. But first, I would love to invite Lori Bakke to the stage to just talk about one last idea with you. So Lori, where are you? Come on up.
Good evening. Thank you so much for being here. I am the development chair on the League of Women Voters Minnesota board, and we just want to say thank you to everyone for being here, for continuing to support the League of Women Voters as we go on, and letting you know that as we go into this second century, we start out with a bang in 2020 with all kinds of things from working with all 50 states on gerrymandering to a new presidential primary process, to regular elections, to call 411 vote, getting that up and running. So many things going on. And so we want you to know that we so appreciate all of your support. And if you are feeling like, oh, you need to support us a little bit more, if you look tucked under your arrangements, I forgot to bring it up. There's a little gold envelope, and that little gold envelope, is a chance for you to pledge. Not that you have to write any checks tonight, but it's a chance for you to pledge for the continuation of the League of Women Voters into this second century. So if you would like to do that, you just fill out the pledge and put it back in that gold envelope, and someone will get back to you on that. And I want to say that our final piece tonight, if you look at the back of the old program from 1919, you're going to see that the music that was provided was the Apollo Club Quartet. Well, tonight we have the Apollo Club as well. It's a little more than a quartet, and they are going to finish us off this evening. They're celebrating their 125th anniversary, and so I think you should just take it away.